All right, so we're going way back in time today for a deep dive into the Milesian School of philosophy. Ready to meet the very first Western philosophers.
The OGs.
The OG thinkers, the ones who dared to question the universe without, like, relying on myths and gods.
Yeah, a pivotal moment in history for sure. We're talking 6th century BCE, a time when everyone's worldview was totally steeped in mythology.
Right.
And then these philosophers emerged from Miletus and basically challenged everything. They wanted natural explanations for the world around them.
Totally. We're working from this article. It's called The Milesian School of Thought, The Birth of Western Philosophy.
Okay.
And the thing that, like, really blew my mind is how these pioneers, they only had observation and reason.
Yeah.
And they essentially invented natural philosophy.
Exactly. Natural philosophy. It was revolutionary because it was a huge move away from explanations based on, supernatural beings and stuff.
Right.
Instead, they wanted to understand the universe through observation and reason. This was a monumental shift. It paved the way for scientific inquiry as we know it today.
Huge. So let's meet these philosophical trailblazers, shall we?
Let's do it.
First up, Thales,
Ah, yes.
often hailed as the father of Western philosophy.
Rightfully so.
And he's super famous for predicting a solar eclipse in 585 BCE,
Can you imagine?
which must have been like absolutely mind-blowing for people back then.
Yeah, that prediction alone really shows his scientific mind.
For sure.
He wasn't just theorizing, He was observing, calculating, making predictions based on natural phenomena.
Right.
But what might be even more revolutionary was his idea that water
Water.
was the fundamental substance of the universe.
Okay, so water is everything.
Yeah.
It does seem a bit simplistic now,
Well, yeah.
but I guess we have to consider the context, of his time.
For sure. We understand the universe's composition is, much more complex now.
Right.
But the brilliance of Thales' idea is that he was trying to unify, all the seemingly different elements of the world into a single fundamental principle. He was searching for a common thread, a unifying element.
Yeah.
And for his time, water, water was a logical choice.
Right. Yeah, it makes you wonder what, sparked that idea for him.
I know.
Was it just the sheer abundance of water on Earth or its life-giving properties?
It's fascinating to think about. I mean, he probably observed the role of water in sustaining life,
Yeah.
its ability to transform, from solid ice to liquid to vapor.
Right.
And maybe he even thought about its presence in seemingly dry things like wood or even earth.
Sure.
So that might have led him to believe that water was the ultimate source and endpoint of all matter.
Right. And then there's this idea he proposed of a living universe, suggesting that even inanimate objects possess some kind of life force or spirit.
Yeah.
I kind of like that concept. It resonates even today.
What if they were onto something back then, Could that idea be relevant to our discussions today about consciousness? Or even the interconnectedness of everything in the universe? Oh, wow.
Imagine if our current scientific models could incorporate this ancient notion of an underlying anima, like this vital force connecting everything. It's a cool thought.
Yeah, it's a really cool thought. But Thales wasn't the only one with revolutionary ideas, right?
Oh, no.
His student, Anaximander, took a very different approach. Didn't really agree with the water as the fundamental substance theory.
Not at all. And Anaximander proposed something far more abstract, the apeiron.
The apeiron.
Yeah, it's often translated as the boundless or the infinite.
Okay.
He pictured it as this undefined, limitless substance. It wasn't any specific element. It's just where everything arises from and where everything goes back to.
Whoa.
In a never-ending cycle.
So instead of a tangible element like water, he went for this formless, primordial stuff that's thinking outside the box.
Exactly. And this concept of cyclical creation and destruction, a universe constantly changing and in flux, it resonates surprisingly well with some modern cosmological models. Think about the Big Bang Theory.
And the idea of a singularity from which everything emerged.
Right.
There are really intriguing parallels between Anaximander's apeiron and the singularity. Both represent a state of unimaginable density and potential.
That is a really interesting parallel.
Yeah.
Do you think modern physics might be, inadvertently circling back to some of these ancient ideas?
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, the scientific language and methods have evolved a ton.
Right.
But the fundamental questions are the same.
Totally.
What is the universe made of?
Right.
Where did it come from? And how does it all work?
Yeah.
Maybe by trying to answer these questions, we're rediscovering insights that these early philosophers, already glimpsed.
Wow. It's mind-blowing to think that these thinkers, without any of our modern tools or technology, were already grappling with such profound concepts.
Yeah, and Anaximander didn't stop there. He even came up with like an early evolutionary hypothesis.
Yeah.
He was suggesting that life originated in the sea and that humans might have evolved from fish.
No way. That's incredible.
It is.
Like centuries before Darwin.
Yeah.
What do you think inspired him to, like, connect life to the sea?
He was probably observing the huge variety of sea life.
Okay.
Maybe even, fossils of creatures that no longer lived on land.
Right.
He was trying to explain, like, the diversity of life on Earth through natural processes, which is remarkable centuries before Darwin and the theory of evolution.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Thales with his water theory, and Anaximander with his boundless apeiron.
Yeah.
And up next, we have another student of Anaximander.
Okay.
Anaximenes.
Anaximenes.
And his own unique take on the fundamental building block of the universe.
So Anaximenes, like Thales and Anaximander before him, was searching for that one single unifying principle underlying the universe.
Right.
But his choice, air.
Air, okay.
He believed that air, through these processes of condensation and rarefaction, transformed into all the other substances that we see.
So he's basically saying everything is just air at different densities.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really interesting concept.
It is. There's a certain, elegance to his theory.
Yeah.
He saw condensation, the process of air becoming denser, as what led to the formation of water, and then earth.
Okay.
And then conversely, rarefaction, the thinning of air, produced fire.
So everything exists on, like, a spectrum?
In essence, yeah. He viewed all matter as existing on a spectrum of density, with air as that primordial source.
Kind of reminds me of how air pressure changes with altitude.
Right.
Or how steam turns back into water when it cools down.
Exactly.
He was observing these natural phenomena and then trying to, like, extrapolate a universal principle.
Precisely. And remember, for Anaximenes, air wasn't just this, physical substance.
Okay.
He connected it to the breath of life.
Oh, interesting.
Suggesting that just as breath sustains us humans, air sustains the universe.
So he's giving air this almost spiritual quality, like a life force that permeates everything.
Exactly. And this idea, it resonated with later philosophical and spiritual traditions. Think about Stoicism, which emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things through a universal pneuma, or breath.
Right.
And even Taoism, with its concept of vital energy that flows through the cosmos.
Oh, wow.
And Anaximenes, he might have been onto something profound here, connecting those physical and metaphysical aspects of the universe.
It's fascinating how these early philosophers, with their limited scientific tools, came up with these, really complex and interconnected ideas.
Their strength was their keen observation of the natural world.
Yeah.
And their relentless pursuit of these unifying principles.
Right.
They weren't afraid to think big, to challenge conventional wisdom and search for those underlying patterns connecting seemingly different phenomena.
But we step back and look at the Milesian School as a whole, with their different theories about water, the apeiron, and air. What was their lasting impact?
It's immeasurable, really.
Yeah.
They fundamentally changed how humanity approached the universe.
How so?
Before them, explanations were rooted in, myths and stories about gods and supernatural forces.
Right.
The Milesians pioneered a paradigm shift. They advocated for reason and observation.
Because they were the OG scientists.
Absolutely. They were the precursors to the scientific revolution.
Wow.
Think about the key principles they championed. Naturalism, rational inquiry, the search for a unified explanation for the universe.
Yeah.
These are all cornerstones of modern science.
Sure.
They dare to ask why and how instead of just accepting the traditional narratives.
And their influence goes way beyond science, doesn't it?
Of course. They started a philosophical revolution, too. They inspired thinkers to question assumptions, to challenge authority, and to look for truth through reason.
Right.
They helped pave the way for, logic, ethics, political thought.
Yeah.
Their focus on reason and logical discourse became fundamental to, the whole Western intellectual tradition.
It's incredible to think that this small group of philosophers from Miletus, a city most people have probably never even heard of, had such a profound impact on, human civilization.
Their legacy isn't just their specific theories, which, might seem simplistic today, but their revolutionary approach to knowledge.
Yeah, it's more about how they thought, right?
Yeah, exactly. They dared to question, to observe, to look for underlying principles, and to have those reasoned debates.
Right.
They showed us the power of the human mind to explore the universe.
It makes you wonder what they'd make of our world today.
I know. Imagine showing Thales, like, a satellite image of Earth from space.
Or explaining the internet to Anaximander.
Oh, man. I think they'd be both astonished by our technology, but also maybe a little concerned about, our potential to misuse that knowledge.
Right.
I think they would urge us to use our knowledge wisely and to keep questioning and exploring, just like they did.
Yeah, it's like they passed the torch of inquiry,
Right.
And we've made some incredible strides since then.
Oh, for sure.
But I can't help but think about what kind of questions, like what new questions they'd be asking us today.
Oh, I think they'd have a field day with modern physics and cosmology. Like, imagine Thales, right?
Yeah.
Pondering quantum mechanics.
Whoa.
Or Anaximander, like, discussing the possibility of a multiverse. Their minds would be blown. So many new possibilities, new avenues for exploration.
I bet they would be super intrigued by the concept of dark matter and dark energy.
Oh, absolutely.
These mysterious forces that make up, like, most of the universe, but we barely understand them.
It's crazy, right?
And, like, they were always looking for that unifying principle, that underlying thing that connects everything. Maybe dark matter and energy hold the key to, like, a deeper understanding of the cosmos, one that even they couldn't have imagined.
It's truly humbling, to realize how much we still don't know, how many mysteries are still out there.
Totally.
But I think that's exactly what would excite these early philosophers, They were driven by a profound sense of wonder. They were thirsty for knowledge. It went beyond the limits of their time.
Right.
I think they'd remind us that the pursuit of understanding, it's a journey, not a destination.
It really is. They might even challenge some of our modern assumptions.
Yeah.
Push us to think about alternative perspectives.
For sure.
To question, like, the very foundation of our scientific models.
They weren't afraid to break the mold.
Right.
They were the original disruptors, paving the way for a new way of thinking.
They really were.
Their most enduring legacy is, like, the courage to question.
Yeah.
To challenge things, to think differently. They showed us that real knowledge, it requires intellectual humility. Being willing to admit what we don't know. And to embrace the unknown with a sense of curiosity and wonder.
So as we continue to, like, explore the universe and unravel its secrets, let's remember the spirit of the Milesian School. Let's honor their legacy by embracing their thirst for knowledge, their pursuit of unifying principles, and their, like, unwavering belief in the power of human reason to, shed light on the mysteries of existence.
Yeah, and perhaps most importantly, let's cultivate that same sense of awe and wonder. That drove them to, explore the universe with such passion and insight. Because it's in that spirit of inquiry, that unquenchable thirst for understanding, that we truly connect with the legacy of these philosophical pioneers.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the Milesian School of Philosophy.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed this little trip back to the roots of Western thought. And remember, just like the Milesians dared to question the world around them, never stop exploring, never stop learning, and never stop asking those big questions. Until next time, happy thinking.